All right, friends, I know this may not seem like a particularly exciting story, but it is profoundly important with potential national implications as we head into the 2024 election. So I urge you to pay close attention because with a single stroke of the pen, the Republican Party has effectively stolen a purple state, which had long languished under their hyper-partisan gerrymandering and which had only just recently begun to experience a bit of progress with respect to democracy. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. All right, folks, full disclosure, this one hits close to home for me, both metaphorically and literally, and it's the latest story in the situation about democracy in North Carolina. We've discussed it in previous videos, and it's gotten quite worse. But to set the stage, I want to play this video from Congressman Jeff Jackson, who is one of the representatives from North Carolina to the United States Congress. He's a Democrat. And he is profoundly affected by what happened today because of the Republican Party.
Got some news for you. A group of politicians in North Carolina just redrew my congressional district to take me out. They're going to replace me with one of their political allies. That's political corruption, and I've got news for them. I'm running for Attorney General, and I'm going to use that job to go after political corruption. It's going to be a fight. There are people who mean you harm. The job is about standing between you and them, which means I'm gonna take some hits. But it also means fighting back. I've been a prosecutor in a courtroom and a soldier in Afghanistan. I'm a husband and a father. And I am the last person corrupt politicians want to see as Attorney General. Because I don't care what party they're in. It's got nothing to do with parties. It's about doing what's right. Organized crime that targets your bank account, fentanyl that targets our kids, corporations that break the rules with price gouging or polluting our water. Let's go. Campaign starts today. We're going across the whole state. No matter where you live, we want you to be a part of it. And our whole family is ready.
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 Well, that was a great ad by Congressman Jackson. He will be missed in the United States House of Representatives because he was one of the best and certainly one of the best communicators that the Democratic Party had. But, I mean, again, great ad, and I'm sure he'll knock it out of the park, aha, pun intended, as North Carolina's Attorney General. But yeah, that's the situation. Right now, the North Carolina Congressional Delegation is basically split 50-50 right now. Okay, they have 7 Republicans in Congress, 7 Democrats. But because of Republican gerrymandering and their decisions, it's now going to be 10-4. Republicans are going to pull 10 seats to 4 Democratic seats. And the reason for that is because Republicans in the North Carolina legislature have redrawn the voting maps. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I said in the beginning that North Carolina is a purple state, and it is. I just want to be very clear about that because I'm sure some people are in denial. It is as 50-50 of a split state effectively as Wisconsin is, okay? You have 2.4 million registered Democratic voters and 2.2 million registered Republican voters, okay? It's a 50-50 purple state on the merits, on the substance. But the reason it may not look like that is because Republicans have gerrymandered the state to hell and back over the past decade. They've effectively done in Wisconsin what Republicans did, they've effectively done in North Carolina what Republicans have effectively done in Wisconsin. It's the same thing. Now, whereas in Wisconsin, they recently won a victory in the Supreme Court that tilts the Supreme Court towards the left, the opposite happened in North Carolina recently because there is now a conservative majority in the state Supreme Court. Now, the reason that we currently have a 7-7 split, a 50-50 split in the congressional seats is because the previous version of the North Carolina Supreme Court told North Carolina Republicans, guys, you can't partisanly gerrymander like this. Partisan gerrymandering is unconstitutional. It's not right. And that's why nonpartisans had to draw the voting maps, and again, it was a 50-50 split. But with this new right-wing Supreme Court, they went back and reversed their previous decision. They were like, actually, no, partisan gerrymandering is great. Go ham, go hog wild. And so Republicans have. Thus, their new voting maps, which will give them 10 seats, to the Democrats 4. It's shameless, it's despicable, it's characteristically Republican. The other thing I want to point out, though, and this is only tangentially related, but since we're talking about the corruption of the Republican Party in North Carolina. As part of these redrawn maps, they have decided to protect a defector. Okay, so Trisha Cam was a Democrat that we've discussed in a previous video. She was one of the legislators elected to the North Carolina legislature during the midterm. She campaigned as a pro-choice Democrat in a blue district. And then she was sworn in January. And then by April 2023, 4 months later, she flipped. She officially became a Republican, and she gave the Republican Party in North Carolina the one seat that they needed to become a veto-proof supermajority. Now, people were furious. I was furious. A lot of North Carolinians were furious because Trisha Cam deceived them. Hey, you campaigned as X, and then 3 months in, you become Y, and you don't resign? Like a principled person would say, you know what? My views, values, and positions have changed. I want to be a Republican, but since I campaigned as a Democrat, I'm going to resign, and we're just going to have another election, this time with me, actively campaigning under the party whose values I reflect. Well, no, she's still in office. But then people were like, that's okay. As annoying as that is, we'll vote you out in the next election. Except, of course, they redrew the maps. Specifically, Cotham's home district was won by President Biden over Donald Trump by a 23-point margin that got him 61% votes to Trump's 38%. Again, pretty darn blue. But within the new district lines, should Cotham choose to run again, the voting margin in the realigned district would favor Trump, 50 to 48. This is what the Republican Party is. They're disgusting, they're despicable, they're shameless, they don't care anything about principle. If they say something on Monday and it inconveniences them on Wednesday, by Thursday morning, they'll have a new standard, okay? And to be sure, Democrats also gerrymander, but nowhere near this egregiously or consistently, because Democrats, for the most part, are pretty confident in their ability to fight a fair fight electorally. Look at New York. New York is one of the bluest states in the country, but because they did nonpartisan voting maps, it allowed somebody like George Santos to win Long Island, right? New York could ruthlessly gerrymander to a far greater extent than North Carolina does, but they don't. Right? Because for all the Democratic Party's faults, they have some modicum of principle, which the Republican Party lacks. So this is my point. This is why I say that Democrats have to seek power, and they actually have to wield it against Republicans. We have to be in a position, and in my mind, in terms of federal voting rights, okay, federal voting rights legislation, which, to be fair, Democrats wanted to pass when we had majorities in both chambers of Congress, but people like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, who nominally supported these bills, would not break the filibuster to pass it with a simple majority. We have to get past that, right? Who knows when we will get another filibuster-proof majority in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. It may very well be just these narrow margins for the next few decades. We don't know. So we actually have to have a Democratic Party who's willing to see things like this and go, you know what? Okay. We've tried to play nice. We've tried to ask you to stop. We've tried to wait for your better angels to prevail over your inner demons, Republicans, but you won't do it. The Republican politicians have absolutely no incentive under our current structure to play fair. As we've discussed, they openly believe, they have openly admitted that they don't think they can win free and fair elections without institutional advantages. Donald Trump has admitted to it. Lindsey Graham has admitted to it. Multiple Republicans, attorneys arguing before the Supreme Court of the United States have openly said it's a zero-sum game. If you maximize eligible voter turnout, if you have free and fair and representative elections, they don't think they can win. So why on earth would they do anything other than what they're doing? If we're counting on Republicans to go, you know what, this isn't right, we should stop doing that, we're going to wait forever. And we can't afford to wait forever. So, in my opinion, this should motivate you and I and everybody watching. We need to be pushing for Democrats who will actually wield the power we give them ruthlessly. And as much as I appreciate President Biden and the Biden administration, this is one of the reasons why I like the fact that he is at least amenable to persuasion from the Progressive Caucus. We need ruthless Democrats out there saying, Mr. President, no, we do need to break the filibuster. We need to casually break the filibuster when and where appropriate. None of this hand-wringing and going, oh, golly gee, we're breaking norms and traditions. Republicans don't care about that. When they see an advantage and all that's between them and an advantage is a norm, they'll break the norm if they think the advantage is worth pursuing. They've proven it time and time again, both at the federal level and the state level. We have to stop playing by asymmetric standards. The Michelle Obama ethic, when they go low, we go high, that's a beautiful sentiment, but it shouldn't dictate everything that we do. Yes, there are times that we need to go high when they go low, of course. But when it comes to preserving democracy, if that means wielding power in such a way as to cram voting rights down the throats of every red state, so be it. If we could find a way to create a federal voting law which prevents this from happening, telling red states, no, you don't have the right to partisanly gerrymander your opposition into oblivion. You don't have the right to do that. We've seen, again, in Wisconsin, we've talked about it in Alabama. Alabama even had a racial bent to it. It was so bad that this right-wing Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, the court of Amy Coney Barrett and Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, even they were like, guys, this is beyond the pale. And Alabama didn't cooperate. They defied the court. This is madness. We can't trust the GOP to exercise a limiting principle. And if they won't do it, then Democrats should be empowered and have the will and the zeal to enforce a limiting standard on them. We have to fight back. Let me know what you think in the comments.